So I'm just going to get right into it. After session
10... You all die.
After session 10... Hold on, I got to put this down so my chair doesn't squeak. After session 10... Actually, I have to cue playlist as well.
I was going to say, you had music with it, right?
Mm-hmm. I hope this... I'm not going to chance it. I'm going to leave. Have it restart the playlist.
Oh.
And pause it. Okay. Sorry, I had the shuffle going, and I don't want to chance it messing up the order. Not that I don't know the order, but I don't want to have to worry about it.
Oh,
so, after session 10, close that, make sure I can still see everything. After session 10, which will have a recap of its own when you guys play session 11, the team parts from Briar's Mansion in preparation for their arduous journey towards Cardi. Each event that takes place here will be on the night of Sunday the 13th, 2997, and will lead into Monday the 14th, where session 11 will begin. Along with these stories, I'm challenging my players to think of one physical change to their character's appearance to sort of show their character's growth over time. And on another note entirely, while the details included in this reading will be a continual theme for your character as they grow with you over the duration of the campaign, taking notes may cause you to miss a lot of details during this first read, so I encourage you guys just sit back and enjoy what I have prepared. I put a lot of work into the campaign and everything for you guys, and I'll say it 100 times if I have to. Like, you guys have always given me back 110%. It's been an absolute pleasure to be your guys' DM, and I hope the appreciation shows. I truly hope that you guys find these as enjoyable to experience as I did writing them. And as a final note, these readings are timed to music with delicate pacing, so please hold all questions, and I had to include this note for you guys. Please hold all questions and gorks until after the readings. And I will be going in character alphabetical order. So without further
okay, before you do... Okay, sorry.
Without further ado...
God, I want to scream, dude.
Arkul spends his night deep in prayer and contemplation, going through his incantations as he normally does, and focuses on his form and execution of the times when he held a sword in his hands. He is deep in his focus when a peculiar sound breaks his trance, the sound of a bird chirping, and chirping loudly. He continues to sit with his eyes closed, and does his best to focus as another finds its way in, and they begin chirping together. Arkul attempts to sit and sustain his prayer as he was trained to do, as a third bird enters the scene, and at last the young dragonborn breaks his focus and witnesses nothing in his sight. No walls, no floor, no time, no space. However, he can see his own body, adorned in magnificent, shimmering armor, from head to clawfoot. He has a moment to study his current form, broadened, muscular, and disciplined. On his waist rests another shimmering object, a longsword in brilliant silver with a winged dragon for the grip, its massive wingspan acting as the guard. A few swings with the sword feel as natural as they do flawless in their strikes, and with a smooth and effortless sheathing of the blade. Arkul pauses for a moment, and again he continues to pray, a way to pay homage to the grand platinum dragon, the one that rests behind him, watching his student in quiet admiration. Arkul is alerted to the suddenly noticeable change of climate in the air, a biting cold that slips between his exquisitely made armor. He turns to face the platinum dragon himself, his gargantuan form dwarfing Arkul. The dragon rests on its underbelly, its wings laid upon its back, his brilliant mercurial reflective scales providing a near mirror-like sheen as 3 canaries rest on the protruding tendrils that extend from his powerful jawline. Again, it speaks in their common tongue. Arkul, after a moment of thought to prepare himself, unsheathes his sword, now aglow with a vibrant light unlike anything he's ever seen. The glow trails his blade and it strikes, and, true to their form, are perfectly executed. "Extend your palms to me," exclaims the beast with a booming voice that seems to emanate from the atmosphere itself. Arkul, nearly preparing another swing, he breaks his stance to stow his weapon, face his god, and do as he is commanded. As he does so, the palms of his scaled hands begin to glow with yet another brilliant light, somehow different from the first and yet just as powerful. Arkul looks up with admiration towards the impossibly sized creature that speaks to him. Observe the path not yet taken. Its mighty heaving body fills with air before it exhales bitter, cold, gaseous energy around Arkul, who at first he flinches in instinct, becoming entirely swallowed by the blast. Once the Arctic winds cease, Arkul gazes upon himself to see his body returned to its native form. "A vision is a powerful thing," speaks the dragon. "It shows not what one is, but what one could be, and what one could never be, all in the same. 1,000 branches rest on the tree of life, yet who is to say which of the 1,000 roots feed the leaf?" The dragon continues to look directly at Arkul with his massive silver eyes. "Arkul, the vision I have granted you is but one leaf on the tree of your life's potential. You have done well to carry my honor, and I will grant you the powers to achieve this vision if you swear to me now. Swear to me your allegiance, that your faith will hold steadfast and survive temptation. Swear to me that you will douse the flame of hope, that your enemies will know the bitter sting of relentless defeat. Swear to me you will rule with an iron fist, that those who defy your rulings will become the example of punishment to follow. And swear to me strength above all else, that none shall take your place until a stronger one arises, and that you will grow mightier in their wake to meet the challenge, or fall to your own ruin." With an echoing voice, Arkul makes the answer known, and he gazes upon the dragon once more. "I grant you the powers and tenets to become that which you have envisioned. Stay the path, and all those who witness your presence of conquering spirit will flee from the very sight of you. Lead with my name, and one day you shall become the conqueror of invincibility. Now go. Be that which no evil could stand against." As these words are spoken, into the vast and inky black space, the young dragonborn can feel a sensation of movement, similar to trying to sleep after being in the ocean for a long period of time, where the tide can still be felt shifting one's balance. However, for Arkul, he feels as though he continues his sword practice. Arkul is returned to bed at night, a paladin. Next up is Miss CHAR. I actually don't know how long the songs have because I'm not looking at them on. Usually I have them on Spotify over here, but this is going through Discord. It sounds like it's fading out though. CHAR spends her night in a way she had done previously an uncountable number of times. Sitting by the window or on the sill, looking out at an open night sky, with Mally chatting away in her lap. And Mally, I did the craziest thing today. I found a cracker and some cheese, right? And I broke the cracker in half, and that's not even the crazy part. I broke it in half and I sandwiched the cheese, right? The night air is... I just skipped all my notes. The night air is still and quiet as Char's eyes grow heavy. She shifts to her bed where she collapses onto the blankets and near immediately falls asleep, with Mally wiggling her way out of the layers of fabric that trapped her beneath. Char lies on her back and begins to dream of all the things that make up the world she had never known. The sky, the people, the animals, the trees, the ground, the seas, and so on. Her mind continues to wander into what perhaps could be the deepest thinking she's ever experienced, and asks what it might be that moves these natural elements. What causes rain to fall and waves to crash? Stone is inert and unmoving, yet it forms mountains and can shake the very ground beneath their feet. Fire swallows all things within its burning aura, and yet life couldn't exist without it. What is light without dark? What is dark without light? Why do the creatures of mortal kind do the things that might be counteractive to ensuring their prolonged survival? All of these strange pieces fit together to form an image Char cannot yet see, and yet she is just beginning to grasp at who, or what, is moving these pieces into place, or out of place, and yet still fitting together. She begins to understand what could be described as the force of nature, an invisible spirit that moves all things, touches all things, and exists both in and out of all things. Beyond this, her thoughts continue to pursue the very notion that if the force of nature may be acted upon by mortals, could she manipulate the forces herself? All of the imagery and scenery within Char's dream suddenly fractures. A single break across the open vista in her mind disrupted the clearest thinking she's ever experienced. However, where one might see a fracture is that which breaks an object. There are those who see a fracture as a connection between 2 points, now completely uninhibited by the fabric of time that lay between them. Just as the weaver can incorporate dozens of individual strings to create an image, Char now sees clearly the strings of the force of nature, and its ability to be manipulated with the energy that feeds life itself. And some things become clear to her. Char finds herself standing in an open field with knee-high grass all around, a clear blue sky overhead, and a breeze bending the strands and billowing through her hair. With the raise of her hand to keep her hair out of her eyes, there's a sudden change in the wind. It changes direction and ceases to blow. Looking around in curiosity, she suddenly realizes that it is she who has become the force of nature. She spreads her arms out wide, smiles up at the sky, basking in the warmth, and begins to let herself fall backwards. In an instant, she changes form. Her legs bend and shift as her arms change in the same way to that of a wolf's legs. Her clothing sinks into her body and changes to a heavy coat of fur as she takes on the form of a wolf. With a burst of speed, she sprints through the now overhead grass, hopping up infrequently to see where it is she might go. With a final hop, the passage of a tall blade of grass acts as a transition in her mind to shift the scene from an open field to a swampy bog, where she lurks beneath the water as a fierce crocodile. A fish springs itself from the water and is caught by a giant eagle. Char knows the scene has changed again to reflect that she has also taken on the form of this magnificent bird, as the day changes to night. The vibrant brilliancy of a full moon shines down and touches all of which lies beneath. A dark forest in the night begins to pan towards a town, before the scene zooms and closes in on an open window, where inside lies a sleeping Char and Mally. She has become a young druid. And I do have to prepare one image for this, because I have a few seconds for the next one. Yep, Felix, you're next. So this will be in General Group 2 when I submit it. Felix will have a dream about himself, floating in a black void, his long hair billowing out around him as though everything were weightless, and revealing his shimmering crescent moon above his closed eyes. He is positioned with a slight hunch and his arms in front of him, his hands open and closed together as though they were holding a spherical object that glows a brilliant white and illuminates his naked body. Within the sphere lies more than light. It is the entirety of Felix's history and life within the stronghold, playing itself second by second and minute by minute. Brief moments of joy cause a soft and innocent smile to the seemingly infinite-sized Felix, just as brief moments of anguish cause the brow to furrow and the closed eyes to tense. Forward and backward the moments play in a seemingly random order. The viewing angle Felix has of this gargantuan imagery of himself is constantly shifting. There are moments where he can see this large form from behind its head, the floating and untamed hair from the infinite form blocking images of all else, yet has streaks of light that break through and pierce the darkness behind him to reveal moments of time that have already passed. There are moments where the view is close up and has a side view of his large face, his eyes darting in the darkness as though he were going through REM sleep. There comes a moment as though Felix becomes this larger version of himself, his eyes opening to peer into the surrounding void. His eyes share the same glow as the sphere, as well as the crescent moon, and he has no pupils or iris, and each stare forward to independently find another form in the darkness taking shape. At first, one figure stands tall, its outlined, black translucent body having no details or shape beyond a barely recognizable humanoid form. One glowing eye visible as it stares away from Felix towards the right. A second figure rises in a similar motion, facing the left, and sharing the same black translucent outlining with glowing eyes. This one taking the form of a creature Felix has only ever heard about in the oldest of folklore he could recall learning. A dragon. A flash of time rips through Felix's mind, the dragon and the humanoid fusing together into a DNA strand, floating from their silhouettes towards the sphere that Felix holds. The DNA strand duplicates itself as it travels forward, and duplicates again, and continues to multiply until a swarm forms itself around the light. Felix can see traces of his lineage within each strand as it joins to become part of this light, part of himself. The two beings turn toward him, their eyes staring directly at him as his infinite form begins to slowly pull the sphere into his chest. His hands push this light into his pectorals where a noiseless calamity shakes his very being with a capital B, as though the silent vibrations awakened a slumbering secret buried within the foundation of his existence. As the hands lay upon his body, his right under his left, all light fades and his eyes close again, with the only source of light being visible from the column of light that cuts through the darkness in the shape of a crescent moon, emanating from his forehead. In the darkness, Felix's body changes and forms itself into something completely different. A warrior of old, scaled and winged, harnessing the ancient energy infused into his very blood. Felix opens his eyes to add to the glow from his moon, light emanating from his nostrils as well as from his mouth, which opens as though it were releasing some great pressure from within. His back arches as light pours out from his fingertips and his toes as wings manifest in the same shimmering light from his back. And in this moment, time freezes. The scenes in his life that played endlessly now paused. The light begins to retract, the intense power reabsorbing into his body as markings appear around his neck, growing into some shape as light recedes. As all light recedes from... As all the light and power emanating from his wings to his toes fully retracts, one new marking on his body remains. The glowing crescent dragon of Morth around his neck. Resting on his shoulders and laying upon him, a representation of the power that sleeps within him. The infinite form of Felix takes a very long and drawn breath inwards, before releasing a massive exhale, and causing a cosmic blanket of stars and space to dominate all that he can see. The brilliance of space fades away as Felix rests in his bed, a sorcerer. And I did post that image in the chat if you haven't seen it yet. And Felix, he gains the feat Elemental Adept. That is your new one. Hadrian. Sorry about the awkward pauses in that one. I had to time a lot of things. Hadrian rests his head one night, after adventuring with his friends, and making a few steps towards doing some good for some people. And unlike most nights, he is able to fall asleep what feels almost instantaneously, his eyes heavily closing, his arms relaxing, and his breathing becoming slow and drawn out. He takes another breath, and a second, and a third, before something catches his attention. His breath exhales vibrant, colorful plumes of smoke, like ink droplets in water. The depth and detail of every curl and twisted fingers of smoke caressing the space around him. Just as in front of him there now lies a cloud-like, weightless puff of colorful smoke, so too behind him lies the immaculate blackness. A void whose mere presence dominates the feelings that one may have about being dwarfed by something incredibly vast, like looking up into a star-filled sky for the first time and seeing a nebula roll over. Hadrian hears a call ring out, then another, and another, each saying his name. He's able to differentiate 14 different cries that he can only scarcely place as his father, his mother, 11 of his brothers, and then finally from Hera. A shiver runs down his spine at her haunting call, the feeling of her heartbeat never having left his mind when he first touched the Heartstone. Hadrian wonders and thinks and overthinks, as he so often does, his breathing changing over the course of this semi-conscious dreaming. The voices run through his mind with unstoppable force, reminding him of how much he wanted to leave behind, and what he never wanted to let go. The coloration of the air never ceases while his breathing changes and shifts from shallow to deep, erratic to calm, hot to cold, and difficult to easy. His eyes open to witness a spectacular display, also going in the chat right now. The colors that he created, whether it was unknown or deliberate, formed an expressive image that Hadrian could feel resonate with his soul. But he couldn't possibly begin to articulate why that was so. As Hadrian sits in the space and ponders, as the striking imagery formed an expressive image, a thought occurred to him. As the colors continue to spiral and add and change the image, there is no ending to a painting until an artist signs his name. His current state of affairs may leave him with primitive and unspoken thoughts, but only by tapping into this form of energy that captures the essence of the beauty of life itself on a canvas, so too may he control the colors that emanate from within himself. And that means something. Something he cannot yet grasp, but only begin to understand. And that's when it happens. A door opens, and Hadrian taps into a previously unknown reservoir of potential. Via his spoken word, he now understands that through refined speech, he can manipulate different forces around him to be able to cast magic. Hadrian has felt as though he were the runt of the litter, the lone puppy at the back of a pack of wolves, only leaving him scraps, the chipped and imperfect stone, like the Arachnarok he was given in Alanda Vale. But something is different now. Colors begin to reveal their potential to him. Where red and blue may form purple, it's true. What if they are left separate, as merely red and blue? And what if there is white and black and orange? Something happens when colors are presented this way. An image is formed. Hadrian knows, at this moment in his life, he is starting with a blank canvas. With each and every breath he takes as a representation of the stroke of a brush, he creates the whispers of an image he is far too close to see. But he knows to the very center of his being, this piece will be complete one day. And whether that moment brings him the deepest satisfaction or haunting emptiness is unknown to him now. But he will love every step of the way there. A moment before Hadrian wakes to a new day, one image burns itself in his vision. Like when one stares at a flame too long just before it is blown out and how it remains in one's perception. He sees the faces of his newfound friends. Hadrian knows that his words can inspire more than just himself. Hadrian has become a bard. One more. And it is the last, but it is certainly not the least. John, I hope you're ready. Rigurd, at the end of a long day, fights all urges to find sleep. He feels unsettled and not nearly as strong as he should be. What if he returns to Geld and is unable to convince him to change his ways? What if he loses another mock Gara? What if he is found by the Huntress? With an angered huff, he leaves his bed. He may be tired, but he will not be weakened by his fears. He furiously crawls into the darkened forest and puts enough distance between himself and the town to know he will not be disturbed. Over the course of what feels like hours, he works his body to the breaking point, moving heavy stones, lifting logs, sprinting as fast as he is able, and using any nearby trees as punching bags. Their leaves falling to the ground after each impact and covering the scarred ground where the pushed stones left a trail. There comes a point where Rigurd's body begins to succumb to the fatigue of exertion. The force becomes too much to hold on to, the force behind each punch losing its power. His anger may be poignant, but his exhaustion eventually takes over. Rigurd steps away and lays into the foliage of fallen leaves and virtually collapses onto the soft ground and lets his muscles finally rest. The sudden snapping of a twig jolts him to a seated position, and he is near face to face with a wolf about 3 times his own size. The top half of which is gray fur while the underside is white, and has silver eyes staring directly into his own. The beast does not bare its teeth, nor does it snarl or growl at Rigurd. It merely stands 10 feet away, gazing at him. Rigurd slowly shifts from a seated position to a crouch, as though ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. When out of the corner of his eye, an elk bounces forth from the scene, behind the trees, and stands some 10 feet to the left of the wolf. Unafraid of the beast or Rigurd, both creatures now looking at him. To the right of the wolf appears another creature Rigurd had not yet seen, but has heard of and described in great detail from his fellow goblins. A predatory feline that can only be known as a tiger. Its massive paws virtually silent on the leaves as it takes its place in line with the elk and the wolves. Turn my monitors off because you're actually distracting me. Rigurd takes a moment to fathom what lie before him, each creature of the forest looking at him with the exact same silver eyes as his own. He feels partially at ease since all creatures are in front of him, where he is free to observe them in their silence. As he sits to look, there is a distinct thumping in the ground, the footsteps of something that cares neither for grace nor quiet, a hulking brown bear. The mighty beast carrying its fur-covered frame effortlessly on its paws that are almost the size of Rigurd himself. It approaches directly behind Rigurd and comes to a stop some 10 feet away from him on the opposite side of the creatures. That is the bear, the creatures, and Rigurd in the center. In strong silence they stand, tall and focused, when that which shatters the silence is the vibrant shriek of an eagle, its 7-foot wingspan holding it aloft as Rigurd looks up to gaze on this creature with majesty when a feeling overtakes him. A surreal pulling on his very soul as he feels his consciousness pulled from his body to take on that of the wolf, the elk, the tiger, the bear, and finally the eagle. The high vantage point of the eagle reveals to Rigurd that where he had dragged the stones and logs, he unknowingly carved the symbol of Yggdrasil into the ground, and the leaves had fallen within its boundaries as a form of summoning. Rigurd now understands why the animals came to him in this way, and how they depict what he shall become. The eagle reveals to him his ability to sense danger itself as it soars into the sky and sees minute details with inhuman levels of clarity. The bear reveals the nature of what Rigurd must become, his martial abilities and his anger channeled forth into what John knows as a barbarian. The tiger reveals that one must know when to become reckless as to pull the attention of many, while the unseen forces behind can strike. The elk reveals that one does not need armor to have good defenses, as there are times where speed and agility can act as a better resource than the bulky inconvenience of armor. And finally, the wolf, that which connects all the dots. His rage is the key to channeling everything forth to become a weapon sharper than any blade, stronger than any metal, and as wild as any beast. Rigurd opens his eyes in the calm embrace of his bed at Briar's boarding house. He is a barbarian. Thank you. You may now gork. Yes.
Holy fuck, dude.
Nice.
Damn.
That was sick.
I wanted to scream during every single one of those.
Pardon me, I want to mute myself, but...
I literally don't even know which one was my favorite because they were all so fucking cool in their own way. Like, I literally can't even... That was all so sick. I don't even know how to explain it.
Oh my god. First off, I love it all, but god damn it. All my whole setup is just fucked right now because of all the banging.
Yeah, I know.
All my monitor...
I had to frickin' stop looking at you because I was getting distracted.
Dude,
all
the
my
Who...
monitors are fucking crooked, and as I'm banging, my camera's just... Boop, 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 boop,
Yeah, yes.
The Who was the perfect choice for that moment, too.
I knew it was gonna be
I love
good
that
as soon as
band.
I heard, like, the eagle cawing at the start of the fucking song.
Dude, the Who goes hard as fuck. They're
Oh,
fucking
dude,
God!
John, that song is literally called Wolf Totem.
Yeah.
Yeah!
That's why I picked it. Oh shoot, that's the wrong one. That's why I picked it.
Hey, I was almost going to suggest you use for like mine or Kyle's the opening songs from Kingdom Hearts when you're picking all your shit.
Here we go. Sorry, just getting a little background noise.
We're level 2.
Yeah. So the reason I asked like not to take notes was because there was a lot of stuff there, and I believe it's all of yours. Anyway, most of those stories will line up with your class progression, like some of the things that went down within the details.
Yeah, they will.
And yeah,
I'm going to get a cool dragon-handled sword.
that's one leaf, my dude.
It's okay. I couldn't take notes anyway. I was too enthralled with the whole story.
Yeah.
Too enthralled.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I have one question about that. Do I know which brother wasn't talking to me? Calling my name? Really? Interesting.
Well, hey, why not? We might as well make you roll for it. Let me see here.
Dun.
Do insight. And make sure it's your bard insight and not your commoner insight.
Oh god, yes. Oh god, yes. Do it.
Huh.
I gotta log on. I didn't know we were doing this today. Alright. 2 seconds.
I was gonna say I had mine pulled up, but mine just closed itself apparently. Shit.
That's +2, baby.
Yeah.
19 +2.
Yeah.
Roll 30.
Please.
Okay.
Can I guess before you tell me?
I'm making sure it's the right one.
Can I guess though? Like, can I take a stab at it?
Yeah.
Alright. Galba. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Alright. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So if Hadrian, if he really, really focuses in on it, he could kind of like, okay, I know that's Nero.
Yeah.
I can hear Gaius. Well, I know I have, and well, we can get into that later. But yeah.
We'll do that later on. Thank you for indulging me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of nights working on those, dude.
Oh my god, it was so worth it!
I think
Like,
those.
Like, I want a written copy.
I really
could
do.
that.
I want a written copy.
I could do that. Yeah, and I actually wrote everything first, and then I forget who had. I think Jake had the first timed song, because I talked about it. I was like, hey, like, like I talked to you guys, how do you want to see Harratuk grow? And he was like, because I want to do what you guys want, not what I want, obviously. And he was like, well, I want it to be kind of like he's turning up the fucking volume to 11, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's perfect. So I had this song, I already knew what I wanted to do. I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that for everybody. And then somebody else, like, it clicked in. I was like, well, I can't just stop at 2. I mean, And then I did group 1. I was like, well, I can't just do it for one group and not the other. So I just went through everything.
This amp goes up to 11.
Arkul, Arkul had 2 songs. Arkul and Hadrian both had 2 songs. Yours was Rise from the Ashes and The Dark of Heart. CHAR's is Heavy Mental. Christian's was The Oath. Hadrian's Vicariously We Rest, as well as The Solace of Sunrise. And John's was Wolf Totem.
Wolf Yum.
Wolf Yum.
Oh god, I was trying really hard to like focus on what you were saying too, because I was getting really into the song as you were giving this narrative, and my mind just went to the visual.
Dude, I know. I'm pretty sure like you were shaking my monitors.
It was very shaky.
Like I could feel it from down the road.
He was getting real gorky there.
Real
Guys.
gorky.
Oh god.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I had to contain myself a lot though, because I didn't want to bang at full throttle, because my brother would definitely come into the room and like, what the fuck's going on? He would interrupt that whole narrative, and I'd be pissed.
right when you come on, yeah, or your bit comes on. But
oh,
yeah,
God, I'm gonna come.
Had a ton of fun writing those things. I have no idea how I'm gonna do the next one, because, like, like Felix, like so as a sorcerer, Felix already had his origin, while like the paladin, druid, bard, I'm not sure, barbarian, I'm pretty sure the rest of you guys don't actually pick your subclass until level 3, but the story was leaning very heavily in those directions. Yeah. Thank you guys for giving this story 110%. Like,
Oh, mommy.
like I make the game, but you guys make the story, and it's just been a ride.
It's been amazing. Kriv, what was the feat again? The elemental
Adept.
Fuck. How do I even add that to my shit?
I'll
just
tell you in a
add
second.
it to
I will
PvP?
cut the stream here since the events are over. To those who watched, thanks for stopping by. Group 1 will be back on Saturday, not Friday, on Saturday for their session 11, their first as their class. And these Chuckle Fucks will be back next Friday.
Or
The
I'm a
first
fuck chuckler.
their first session
or-
as their class.
or this Friday, since
I'm a
your
fuck
group
chuckler.
can't do it.
No.
Why? Why?
You chuck fuckler.